So in this, the final video for exercise number 3, we're going to be looking at creating the final exercise in the booklet number 3, and that is this one. You can see it's a little more complex, but it uses the same principles, and if you use guidelines and you use the SketchUp tools effectively, then you should be able to make this without too much problem. So let's have a look at what we have. So we have this this shape, and you can see you've got this. It uses a lot of circles, and there's also two centers for the circles, actually in some ways like some of the previous exercises you've done, and those two center points are 1200 apart. So get your guidelines going, get those in there, and it should be fairly easy from there on in. So 1200 apart, let's do that. Right, so I'm going to drag a guideline out from the green axis over here, and a guideline up from the red axis just here, and then from that guideline I'm going to drag a guideline up by 1200. That gives me my basic starting point. So let's start with the head of the shape. That's up here. You've got a radius of 200 and a radius of 340. That's pretty easy, we've done that before. So I'm going to start with a radius of 200, typing in my sizes so that I know that it's exactly what it should be and it's completely accurate. And I can already delete that one. Right, now let's go down to the bottom. And you can see, because again we talked a little bit before about center lines, you can see there are two crossing center lines here, and all of the radiuses that define this bottom half circle come from this same point. So you know that that and that are concentric, in other words that they have the same center point. Another clue here is that the radius of 250 is defined, but there's also a dimension here saying the distance between that point and there is 250. That also tells you that this is a perfect half circle. So that in some ways makes your life a little easier. So we can start by drawing some circles to define these pieces. One is going to be 250 in radius, the other one is going to be 400 in radius. So let's start that. Start off with the big one, 400, and the smaller one, 250. Okay. Now, because I have my guidelines just here, I can take my line tool and just add a line between the points where the guideline crosses the circle. Same over here, and that enables me to cut that circle in half and get rid of all the bits that I don't need. So I don't need this surface in the middle because this is hollow. There are two legs right here, so that can go. I also don't need that line there, and when I get rid of it, there's no longer an enclosed shape, so the surface also disappears, and that leaves me just to get rid of that line. So that's basically the shapes done, except for, of course, the bit that joins them up in the middle, and that's 200 wide. In other words, it's 100 either side of the center line. So let's just accurately define where we draw that by drawing a guideline out 100 this way and another guideline out 100 that way. Again, I'm just going to take my line tool, and you have to be careful down here because I could accidentally click on that and that would be wrong, because what I need to do is go to that intersection there. And same thing up here, I just want to go in really close just to make sure that I'm on the correct intersection. And if I don't want to continue my shape, I just hit the escape key and go over, then zoom in over here, do the same thing. That intersection, and here, that intersection right there. And because I've done it accurately, and because it's now an enclosed shape, a surface has appeared, which is, however, still divided. So what I can do is get rid of that line there, select it and hit the delete key. That line also, select it and hit the delete key, which gives me my final shape. And the shape needs to be a thickness of 40. So let's take the push pull tool, select, drag up, type 40, and that is my final shape complete.